Lost Art with Andrew Cox, retired Master Gunnery Sergeant. thelostart.podbean.com. Get some merchandise and help support the podcast and getting our veteran voices out for all to hear. Now on all major podcast platforms. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Be a guest, tell your veteran story, discuss your veteran business or organization. Email The Lost Art with Andrew Cox at gmail.com. Andrew Cox, a Till Valhalla Project Ambassador. See the project story at tillvalhallaproject.com. Thanks for tuning in. Please enjoy the podcast that's giving a voice to our veterans. The Lost Art with Andrew Cox.
Today's episode is brought to you by TrumpShirt.com. TrumpShirt.com is a veteran-owned business where 100% of the proceeds goes to disabled veterans and veteran organizations. Support your veterans by purchasing a shirt at TrumpShirt.com. Use the promo code TLA and get free shipping. That's TrumpShirt.com, promo code TLA.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Podcast, that podcast giving a voice to our veterans. I'm your host, Andrew Cox, and today we're going to have Marine veteran and National Guard veteran Cameron Smith on to tell his story. But first, a big shout out to the Till Valhalla Project and all the incredible work that they're doing in honoring our fallen heroes. I encourage you to visit their website, tillvalhallaproject.com. Go check it out, see what they're all about, and think about helping them in their mission. Also, don't forget to go to our website and check it out. That's thelostart.podbean.com. Go in there, check it out, see what we got going on. There's a merchandise tab. You can click on that merchandise tab, go in there and get you some cool gear and help support our mission of getting our veteran voices out for all to hear. To all the listeners out there, thanks for joining. Thanks for tuning in every single time. It is much appreciated. Spread the word. Let everybody know that this is here. And we're going to keep this going until I get as many veterans as possible on here and telling their stories.
Funny story, real quick. Birthday ball season. Gosh, I mean, we were at Camp Pendleton because I remember. I think you were either a sergeant or a staff sergeant. I was pretty boot, first or second year birthday ball season, but I picked up this piece of tiramisu. They fed us chow before the gig, and they gave us all the dessert and everything from the banquet. And I picked up this piece of tiramisu, and you're like, "Hey, Smith, just want to let you know that contains whatever Kahlua or whatever it was."
Oh yeah.
Like, "Oh, I think it probably bakes out." And it was like, "Yeah, I think you were saying like, no, they don't bake it; they just mix it in there." You were trying to warn me because you knew I was Mormon and didn't want to offend God by drinking or eating anything with God. I appreciate that. I mean, you weren't like.
Did you actually eat it? I don't remember that.
I think I did.
Eat it?
I think I did. You weren't being like teasing about it. You were just legitimately trying to be like, "Hey, you should know if you care about this."
Yeah.
Like, thanks, but I'm gonna have to repent because this tiramisu looks good as hell right now. Yeah,
I bet it was really good though.
it was, man. Birthday ball season, man. I did not let up on that food, not at all. Yeah. So I fell in love with the food out there in Iraq in my first deployment. I guess that was pretty much it. I mean, we just did. We did our shifts. We had like 4 on, 8 off, or something like that, and then they changed it.
It was rough, man.
8 on, 8
you
off.
guys that were standing post, 4 on, 8 off is not a pleasant experience at all because it's 4 on reserve, and then 4 where you get to rest. So you're not actually having 8 hours off necessarily, depending on what happens, right?
Go to the chow hall.
Yeah.
And then there was in the barracks that were on opposite schedules, and they're sitting there playing video games while I'm trying to sleep. And I'm like, I know you guys gotta like,
oh yeah,
and everything, but I gotta sleep because I'm standing watch at 2 a.m. in the fucking dark. So like, I need my sleep.
Yeah. I
Very cold
remember Alex because all the sergeants. Oh yeah. Oh my God.
February?
Yeah. I remember Sergeant Bush, Alex Bush was, cause all the sergeants were in the run room together, and man, he would get so mad at us. Me and Espinoza would come in and we start playing videos or start doing something. Man, he would just start screaming at us to shut up. He's like, just let me sleep. Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
I got into it one time with Jesse Gearhart for the same reason. He's like, man, like, guys, I'm trying to sleep. And he's like, man, we're like, what are we supposed to do? I'm like, I don't know, just whatever it takes to not wake me up. I get it though, it's like, man, you can't sit there and twiddle your thumbs for 8 hours. And you can't go outside because it's 105 degrees.
Oh yeah, that's
Anyway.
true. Yeah.
It was rough. It was very rough. And yeah, there was a lot of sleeplessness, a lot of very, very cold nights. And then it got, summertime. And then it was like hot as Hades. Oh, you want to know something cool? I still have that Camelback that I had from that deployment.
Get out of here. Are you serious?
I was wearing this today. Yep. I was wearing this today.
Wow.
100-degree heat.
That's amazing.
Working. Yeah. I mean,
I don't know if you remember this, but I remember we ran out of bottled water and we had to use the water buffaloes, right? Oh my God. I put it in my Camelback and I took a drink and it tasted like a skunk smells. That's what I remember. For whatever reason, the water and how they treated it or whatever mixed with the rubber in that. Oh, it was so bad.
Okay.
Oh man.
I remember having kind of a weird sweet taste, like not a sweet taste, but like a sweet taste as if sugar could expire or something. It was weird, but yeah, it was, I remember getting Saddam's Revenge off of the water buffalo a couple times. It may have also been the tomatoes and cucumbers that I was eating with the falafel and everything, because they had the night soil or whatever they call it. Tomatoes were grown
Saddam's Revenge and all that stuff.
They were watered out of the Euphrates River, and we were dumping our porta johns in the river, and everybody did it.
Yes, we were. Yeah, that was pretty bad.
River. It was just
But that's where we were getting our water. If you remember this, that's where they got our water. And when we first got there, because they had the shower stations, you remember this? And we were all like, oh man, there's shower stations. We're in there taking showers and having a good old time, brushing our teeth, the whole thing. And then they came back, they were like, hey, the water poo system is messed up, so don't be taking a shower and using it to drink or anything. And it's like 2 or 3 days, we're all in there like, woohoo, we got showers. And then all of a sudden it was like, yeah, it's poo showers is what we got. Yeah.
I don't remember that.
I remember that. I don't know if you remember that.
No, I don't remember that one particular aspect, but I remember that the water was suspect and sketchy. I do remember they were telling us we had to take our rifles with us to the shower. You will have your rifle with you within 1 arm's distance everywhere you go. And if you go to the shower, just wrap it up in a trash bag. And like we can't leave it with the buddy even for 10 minutes to go take a shower. It was getting a little bit difficult. Like even a baby, man, you can put a baby down for 10 minutes to go take a shower, but not your rifle. I'm sure everybody's rifle is really clean, man, after all those showers. So,
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's the best way to clean them, in the shower.
Yeah, and you got to use a lot of CLP after that, though.
Yeah, true.
So let's see what else. That deployment, yeah, we just stood watch 4 on 8 off and got off and slept, and then went to the chow hall. Oh, there was the internet cafe. I remember that I would go and spend hours. Oh. I probably spent way more than my fair share of time there at the internet cafe. But yeah, I met a girl right before that deployment, and we were talking for like 3 days and hadn't even met in person. And we were talking about getting married, and I was scared as hell because I was like, I don't know about this, but it'd be cool to have BAH and be cool to have a wife and thing. And it ended up not happening, which I'm so grateful for. But we were still like together. Yeah, young, dumb 22-year-old Marines. This is how they think.
You get BAH, baby. That's a good.
Yeah, man. I've heard more than one story about a contract marriage, and it wouldn't have been a contract marriage. It would have been just a really dumb idea. We were considering ourselves a couple, But anyway, yeah, I'm really glad that didn't work. But I talked to her a lot at the internet cafe, and there was a phone station there
Yeah.
too, where we could go in
Mhm.
and make calls home. And she ended up meeting another guy. I actually brought her into the Mormon church, and she ended up going to church and stuff while I was,
Really?
yeah, while I was gone. She met another guy in the Mormon church and ended up uh, marrying him. So I don't know where they're at now, but
No way. Wow.
yeah.
So were you a Mormon when you joined?
Yes, yeah, I was raised Mormon.
Were you really? Okay. In Georgia.
Yeah, yeah. There's
No
actually
kidding.
a big contingent of Mormons out in Atlanta. A lot of them,
No kidding. I didn't know that.
lots and lots.
Wow. Yeah,
So
yeah.
that deployment was my first experience. Made it home. Grateful for that.
Mm-hmm.
Can't think of any casualties or anybody that I didn't know anybody. I think I remember hearing about some people got hit by some IDF a couple times, but I didn't know anybody. Thankfully. My second deployment, so I came home from the first deployment, went on leave. I actually met my ex-wife because she was in Al Assad. I think that was an air base out there, Al Assad or TQ.
Al-Assad, yeah.
Caught him. I can't remember which one.
Well, there's two different ones. Yeah, there was Al-Assad and then TQ. Yeah.
I think it was TQ. But anyway, she was at an air base. She was in Intel. She was in the band before, so she joined like a year before I did, and then she got injured in boot camp, and then was in a holding platoon for a while, and then skipped. So because of all her medical stuff, she got pregnant with she met her first husband in BCP, I guess. Is that the
Mm-hmm.
holding platoon?
BCP, yeah. Yeah.
Injured people, but they had already graduated.
In boot camp? Oh, they
They
already
graduated.
graduated.
Yeah,
Okay.
so they were
Yeah.
graduates, but they were healing before they moved on.
Mhm.
So she ended up getting pregnant, which ended up putting her out of the school and MCT. So after a while, she went to 29 Palms, and I don't think you would have met her there. Emily Fusen, she's a clarinet player.
Yeah, I don't remember her.
I don't know if you were there when she was there or not, but anyway, she OJT'd at 29 Palms, then went to MCT, and then went to the school, and she ended up getting to the school like right as I left. So she ended up,
Okay.
she knew a lot of people that I knew at the school. And then we met for the first time in 2005 at the Escondido Joint Concert. And it really wasn't anything at all. It was like, I cataloged her face in my brain because I met her, and who was it? Was it Angelique Ventura? Do you remember her?
Mm-mm.
Horn
I don't
player,
remember that name.
female horn player. She was, I think, a couple classes, one or two classes behind me in the school. But she
Okay.
ended up, I don't remember what band she was at. Anyway, she died of cancer while she was still in, like on her first or second.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, so we were sitting there at the Cold Stone Creamery in Escondido, and I was sitting there talking to somebody, and it came up that I was Mormon, and she said, "Oh, you're Mormon? She's Mormon too," and pointed over to Emily, and we were both like, "Oh, hi." And that was it. She was married at the time. And then like a year later, she was going through her divorce, and she was in, I think it was TQ, and I was on
Was your second deployment?
Fallujah. Yeah. Did I say it was on my first deployment? I might have gotten that mixed up. My second deployment. So my second deployment, I met so I was on Camp Fallujah, which was outside of the town of Fallujah, I think. Far
That
out.
was in the city itself, right?
No, so Camp Fallujah was somewhere distant. It was like when I stood guard at Camp Fallujah, there was nothing for a long time.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, there was some artillery right behind me, and they would fire at some targets once in a while. So it was within artillery range of something, but not close enough that I was like, okay, I can see what this is and what that is.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, we're both deployed. We're on separate bases. I got on hotornot.com, and I was looking for Mormon girls in San Diego, and her face popped up, and we started talking, and the rest is history. And
Hold on a second. You said hotornot.com?
Yeah.
That's
still exists.
That's bringing it back right there.
Some form. You remember that website?
I mean, I never used it, but yeah, I do remember the website.
It was meat market basically. But yeah, she was on there and I was on there, and I was looking for some dates, and I found one.
Yeah. Wow.
But that deployment, see, let's say 06. What happened in between 04 and 06? We did the Escondido concert. I don't know. I don't think there was anything super remarkable other than just training for the next deployment. So we go on the deployment. We left, I think, in about February.
So it's like a year later, right?
Yes. So no, it's 2 years later. So okay, so we got back in August of 04, and then we left again in February of 06. So it's a year and a half.
Year and a half ish, yeah.
So we left in February of 06, got to Camp Fallujah, because I get a little mixed up in my head because I ended up detaching from the band, and I went, well, in two different ways. So there was, so first of all, we split up the band. So only half the band went for the first half, and half the band went for the second half. And Andy Coons was my platoon sergeant.
Yeah.
And we went out to the CMOC, Civil Military Operations Center. And I think that's where, if I can remember, trying to remember all the details. So part of the band was on Camp Fallujah, standing guard around the perimeter. And now Master Guns, or retired Master Guns, Ramon Villa was he was like the senior enlisted.
Yeah.
And so he stayed back on Camp Fallujah, but then there was a portion of us, so we were actually attached to 5th Marines.
Okay.
The portion of the band that went, the half of the band, we attached to 5th Marines. And so like part of the band was on Camp Fallujah doing security, and then Coons and a couple other guys and I were with like an infantry platoon. So like part of the band and part of the infantry platoon, there was like maybe 10 or 12 guys that got attached together. And then we went out to the CMOC, Civil Military Operations Center, and they were located, that compound was located in the city of Fallujah. And it was after the Battle of Fallujah. It was 06, long after, but they were doing, they were having like civic infrastructure type meetings, and they would have sheikhs and officers from the military and dignitaries or whatever. And just had all the head honchos coming together to talk about microloans and building and business and all that kind of stuff to rebuild the Fallujah. And so every day we would have people coming in this gate from outside of the city. So we're literally like, from like, we're standing guard in the city, like, let's say, so there's the street right here.
So let's say it's New York. Let's say it's like New York, and you're guarding a building within New York. Is that type of thing that you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's a street here. There's a big concrete barrier, a line of concrete barriers, and then there's us inside this compound. And these people are lining up. They're coming in our ECP. We're doing inspections. I forget what they call it. We're searching people. We're wanding people. We're patting people down. And these are the civilians, coming in from the city outside. And we worked with Iraqi police. They were pretty good guys. We really had a good time with those guys. So we got to work with, there was like 4 Iraqi police that came to our post every morning, and they would just augment and just be there. And so they'd come in the morning, and then we would shut the gate down at a certain time, and then all those people would leave. And then for the rest of the day, we were just doing perimeter security on shifts. Well, I guess even the ECP stuff was a shift, but like, we rotated every day. So, and Coons had to come up with this crazy schedule. It was like 4 on, 8 off, 4 on, 4 off, because there was like 11 guys and there were 8 posts or something like that. And
Oh, wow.
he had a really, really difficult task in staffing that in a way that was fair and equitable to everybody. And he came up with something. It was irregular, but I was like, wow, that is actually pretty genius, dude. I came up with it. But anyway, so on that deployment, so I was standing guard on one of the towers one day, and a patrol, a Marine foot patrol. So from my post, it was kind of like, it was like a compound, like in the first deployment. And then there was like this alleyway right here, and then there were buildings across the way, like houses, people lived in those buildings. And so this Marine foot patrol is outside the wire in between our post and these civilian buildings. And we started hearing gunshots, rifle fire.
Right.
And it was kind of confusing because they were standing there looking around going, where is that coming from? And they yelled up to us. They're like, hey, post, where's that fire coming from? And I was looking everywhere and I could not see it. Couldn't see where it was coming from.
Wow.
Getting hit, like there was no way to really identify anything. And then I started seeing these, I thought they were muzzle bursts at the time. It was so for me, there was a palm tree and then there was a building behind it. But from behind that palm tree, I saw like explosions of some kind, whether it was a muzzle burst or whether it was rounds hitting that building. Now,
right.
I guess I can't say, but at the time, from behind that tree, I thought I saw a window. There was a window behind the tree, and so all I knew was I just saw muzzle bursts, and these guys were getting shot at. So, so I ended up returning fire with the saw. And
oh dang.
Yeah, and we found out that we actually didn't get a lot of. We got FAM fire on saw and 240 and the 50. But we never really went through like a machine gunner's course of any kind. And,
right.
So unfortunately, I ended up kind of doing like a spray and pray type thing. Yeah, it was kind of like, I'm thinking back to it now, and like all those infantry guys were like, "What the fuck is going on up there?" Because you're supposed to be like, brr, 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 but I was just like,
yeah.
I was just trying to fucking kill anything that was inside that building. So anyway, I ended up not qualifying for a combat action ribbon because they went in that building and they said they didn't find anything. They didn't find any shells or any munitions or any evidence that people had been there or had been wounded in there. I don't know what happened. All I do know is that I opened up fire, and Philip Jennings was there too. You remember him?
Oh, yeah.
So he ended up picking up my rifle in the confusion of everything, because both our rifles, I guess both our rifles were leaned up against the wall in the post. And the 40 was just, or the saw was just mounted, pointing out the window, so we got our weapon. But anyway, he picked up my rifle and started returning fire. So of course the grunts were like, "Man, fucking band doesn't know what they're doing." I'm like, "Hey, did you save a Marine's life today?" I saved a Marine's life today. So all I know is I returned fire, and I didn't hear fire anymore. We didn't hear any more firing, and the situation ended, and who knows what happened or where or whatever, but we all got out of there alive. And that's my one experience actually getting into a firefight. But yeah, the second half of the band ended up doing a lot more infantry type operations. They did mounted patrols and foot patrols, and We had some guys come back with, pretty much everybody came back with a combat action ribbon. They had some,
Had a couple come back with Purple Hearts as well, if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken, right?
well, yes. I can't remember who though. I think
Morgan might have been one.
well, yeah, he got one. But
I don't remember who all
It
though.
was actually because he fell over backwards in a chair in the office and bumped his head. And got a
What?
Yeah, and he was like, he would tell you, he was like, man, I don't need or deserve a Purple Heart for that. But they were like, you got injured in a combat zone, and you're getting a Purple Heart. So yeah, that's how he got his. What else? But yeah, I think like Guy Humphrey got one, or Jay Dahlberg. I can't
Did he?
remember.
Okay.
But yeah, some guys came back with like Navy comms with like
Mhm.
combat Vs and stuff, or NAMs.
Mhm.
Trying to remember the name of that green and orange one. Is that a NAM? Navy Achievement Medal?
Yeah, Navy
Navy
Achievement,
Achievement Medal.
yeah.
The NAM. So NAMs with
The
combat.
white
Vs.
and green one
There was-
is the white and green one is the calm. Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, there were several different awards. I don't think anybody got a bronze star or anything, but they got a lot of
No,
awards
no.
there, and they saw a lot of action. So those guys definitely had a much different experience than I did.
Yeah, yeah. All
I
right.
got a
Then
lot of
you
good
spent
food.
you said 6 months out on that one, right?
Yeah,
And then at that point, you get back after that deployment and you went to MCRD, right?
well, let's see. Got back in. No, I actually went. Yeah, so just a few months after we got back, I guess I got transferred to MCRD.
Mm-hmm.
I was out there for a year and a half, so it would have been like yeah, I guess I was back in the rear for like 4 or 5 months
Mm-hmm.
before. No, how did that go? Because I remember Guy Hufford was the bandmaster, and he was one of the ones that went on the second deployment. So they had already deployed and come back, and we were starting to operate as a full unit. But anyway,
Okay.
no, I spent a year and a half at MCRD, last half or the last part of my service, and that was really cool. Again, it was just a whole different world. The division, they're
Mhm.
focused on preparing for deployment. They're focusing on, developing combat skills, and at the depot, they still, you got to qualify in the rifle, everything, but it's just, very much the fishbowl of the general is right there all the time. The battalion commander is going to talk to us, and everything
Yeah.
in the public eye, and it was just going from the field to a garrison, like a field environment to a very, very ultra garrison environment was kind of a culture shock, because first 6 years I was in, I was like, first we had our standards and we had everything, but it was a different mindset. And I go to the depot, and the interesting thing was, when I got there was a lot of people there from the Albany band. They had just like this whole group of people came from Albany, and there was a bunch of people there that had only ever been to depot bands or like wing bands or something. So there were people, most of the people there when I got there didn't have any like division band experience. So their mindsets
Right.
me was kind of like, what are you doing?
Almost like oil and water type of thing.
Yeah, it was
just
like,
didn't
I
mix.
can't understand what a guy from the division thinks, and a guy from the division can't understand what a guy from, or a girl, a gal from only from the depot thinks. And so, that was a kind of a difficult transition for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Ended up showing up there just a few months into my time there, and you
Mhm.
ended up becoming, I think you became the drum major of that band after Jesse Barta left, right? No, you
I was at
didn't.
no,
Like
no,
they
I was there
super-
before Barta was. I was
Sorry.
a drum major, then I went and did company gunny stuff, and then came back to drum major and then went drill instructor.
Yeah.
And then when I went drill instructor is when Barta showed up, if I'm not mistaken.
He was there the whole time I was there, so I don't remember how it all shook out, but
Okay. I mean, I was around. I was a drill instructor, so I would show up regularly to try to get some help or, make copies of something or just take a nap on a couch. I was always there, trying to survive my stint as a drill instructor.
yeah, you went to the field, to the drill field, near the very end of my time. I remember that because I remember like you checked out,
Mhm.
and I didn't know where you had gone. But then one
Yeah.
day I saw Gunny Cox as a drill instructor with the Smokey Bear hat. And I'm like, what is this? Oh my gosh! Like one of the nicest guys. Like I've told you before, like there's a lot of Marines out there that can make life kind of difficult for their junior Marines, but you were always one of the ones that was taking care of people and keeping people informed and helping people with difficult situations. And to see that guy that I knew, Sergeant Cox, Staff Sergeant Cox, nicest Marine. I mean, you hold people accountable and you choose some ass and you go to counseling, but you always made people feel like that was the best counseling I've ever gotten. Like to see that guy, like, hurry up, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you're done. No, get on your face. I was like, what the fuck is this? Oh my gosh.
I
So,
think back on it, I can't believe I was able to survive it, to be honest with you.
yeah.
But I made it through. It's all good.
How long were you out there?
I did 3 years. So I did a year, I did 3 cycles, and then I went to the swim tank and I was at the swim tank for a year. And then I came back and I did 2 senior cycles. So I didn't like some guys go out there and they spend a ridiculous amount of time, training like in the platoons training, doing that. It was better than anything ever. It was the best job ever. So I can't complain.
Yeah, that's cool. I thought about it too. I mean, I thought that would be really cool. That whole altruistic part of me wanted to do something to see, some young nasty recruits come in and leave as basically trained Marines and see that transition. And, I know, I know people, really needed that kind of help in life. So I felt like that probably would have been a pretty rewarding job, and I thought about it, but I also thought, and I don't know what it's really like out there, but I thought you guys worked like 18 hours a day, and I was like, I got a family, man. I can't.
Oh, it's sometimes it's more than that, more than 18. It was horrible. It's the best, worst 3 years of my life. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
So yes, very rewarding. It was a great experience, but absolutely horrible when you're doing it because of the amount of hours and the amount of just stupidity you got to put up with. But it helps me tremendously throughout my career, so I can't complain.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to do something. You got to have some kind of a B billet to get promoted to E89, and you did it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you were a great bandmaster, man. I would love to have worked under you.
I don't know. You might have hated it, man. You never know. I don't know.
I was all right with it.
It was a good time. I had fun. So
yeah. And your last tour was at the school, right?
yeah, it was. Yeah, I finished up there and retired, and hey, the rest has been history. I've been growing my hair out. I'm trying to. Well, I grew my beard out and then I trimmed it, and I should not have. I should have left it, but it is what it is.
Well, it'll grow back.
Yeah.
That's one thing you always said.
Yeah, it will.
Lay it out there. If it gets chopped off, it'll
Say
grow
again.
back. You would always say,
That's right.
Whatever you're going to do it with confidence. You'd talk about it playing an instrument. Hey, if you're going to play confidently. If you play a wrong note, just lay it out there. If it gets chopped off, it'll grow back. But you're going to learn something. So do it confidently. Don't. You're always trying to help people perform with confidence.
Yeah. What I say, it's like a lizard still that grows back. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's one of your coxisms that I remember hearing from you more than once.
He said coxisms. Very nice. All right, well, talk me through. Okay, so you finished out at MCRD, right? And you decided, okay, it's time to move on to bigger and better things. So kind of walk me through that, and then kind of talk me through to where you are now, because you're National Guard, right? You're in the National Guard band, Army National Guard band, currently. So kind of talk me through all that.
All right. Yeah. So in in '09, my wife was having our second kid, and she had already gotten out. I think she got out in like May, and I was kind of on the fence. I knew mostly I kind of wanted to get out, but at the same time, I was like, man, there's a lot of things I like about this, and I feel like there's a challenge here I need to overcome too. Like that spiritual thing. It was like I don't want to just tuck tail and run because it's too hard. There were things about it that were very, very challenging for me, and I didn't have the jewels in my case of experience that I think a lot of people leave with, because I came from a difficult situation when I grew up, and in my background, my childhood and everything, and I just, for whatever reason, it's just like it was really hard for me to conform and to just I had a hard time with it in a lot of ways, and I look back and I'm like, man, it wouldn't have been that hard, but I don't know. Going through it at the time, the experience that I was having was hard for me, and I felt, well, there's something here that I need to grow through, and so a big part of me was like, well, I need a paycheck, and I don't know what I'm going to do after this, and I don't have my degree finished, I can't get a job, and then another part of me was like, I really don't want to give up on this Marine stuff because I feel like there's something there for me to, something I'm supposed to do. And then there was a third, it was like, I want to get the hell out of here and get away from this and just go spend time with my family. Like I had this illusion that getting out of the Marines was somehow gonna, you still have to go to work and provide for your family. You still got bullshit and all kinds of stuff, in the civilian life. It's not any different just because you're not in the Marines. That was, I guess, one of those things I learned in hindsight, because you can ask Austin Moore, man. There was a couple times I called him up. I'm like, man, I miss it so much. I was like, I miss it, man. Like, I just want to go play Change of Command, man. And I actually went and I took an audition with, I forgot the MTA's name. It was Gunny, had brown hair and a mustache. I went so far as to take an audition again one time, but
no kidding.
Yeah, life just, it was, I don't think I could have made it work. Especially, after going through the divorce and everything. There's just, Dad's going to be in San Diego, but the kids are going to be in Oklahoma. That's not going to work. So anyway, I got out. There was, it was a messy breakup. There's a lot of hurt feelings there because I didn't want it to end, but I did want it to end. And but anyway, so like a year later, I realized that I could join the National Guard band, and I was like, that would be so cool. I could still be in the military and still play my instrument, and but then I could have a civilian life that I wanted. And so I ended up calling the recruiter, and I was still on I forget what it's called, but you have your contract after your contract.
Oh, the inactive inactive reserves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was still on my IRR time, and I had to get a release to join the National Guard. But
oh wow.
Oh man. So the first thing I did was I joined a Marine artillery unit in Chattanooga, because it was like, I guess that's like 2 hours away from my house, and I still wanted to be in the military somehow. And but I was in the Marines, right? So I was like, well, I got to join a Marine unit. So I ended up joining this artillery unit, and I drilled with them like 2 weekends, and that was not for me, man. There was some little this platoon sergeant guy had been in for like 5 years. He was a sergeant. He's had the most seniority over everybody in the unit somehow, because like he was Nobody was older than him somehow, except for people in the staff, I guess. But this guy had been in the reserves for 6 years, and I'd been to Iraq twice, and he's coming
Yeah.
at me, coming at me like he's all kinds of senior, and I'm like, bro, this is not going to work. You're not going to talk to me that. And so I was like, man, I'm not doing this. So I forget how. I guess I got out of that contract by transferring into the National Guard, because I found out that there was a Guard band in Atlanta. So that was way better because it was near my town too. So I ended up joining the National Guard, and I met another man who became one of my best friends ever in life. That was pretty cool. I've done some pretty cool stuff in the National Guard band. So I've played a couple gubernatorial inaugurations.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, what else did we do? Gosh, we've done some cool stuff. We march in a 4th of July parade every year. One time, we were marching in a 4th of July parade in Dunwoody, Georgia, and I met up. I saw the Albany Marine Band getting off the bus, and they were in the same parade. They had driven up from Albany to Atlanta to march in this parade. So that was pretty cool. I met Derek.
No
Dixon,
kidding.
saxophone
Wow.
player. Yeah, it was crazy. I was like, what? No way. I know I've done a lot of cool things. It's like nothing's coming to mind right now, like right this minute. But
Well, you've been in the National Guard band for a while, right?
yeah,
How long have you been in the National Guard band?
it's been about 12 years.
How many?
Let's see. I joined.
12.
I think I joined in 2011, so it'll be 13 years. But I have a little bit of broken time. There were a couple years that I didn't have, like I didn't get satisfactory years for the books, and so I actually am going to hit 20 years of service this December. Even though I joined in 2002, there was a couple years in there that I just didn't, satisfy the books. So my 20th year of service for the books will be this December. But the
So
Guard,
you can retire
itself, I joined in
out of the
in 20
Guard?
13 years. What's that?
You can retire out of the Guard, though, with all your active service and that?
Yeah, so my active service is going to count up for a certain amount of points, and then all the drill weekends and the annual training days and all that stuff. They give you a certain number of points each year towards retirement. I don't know if it's the same as the active system, but all my active time counts for a certain amount of points, and then everything I've done in the Guard counts for a certain amount of points. So somebody that did 20 years in the Guard, and only the Guard, will have a lot fewer points than I did because I have 7 years of active time. But yeah, it all counts up
Right.
toward the same, retirement system.
Wow. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So it seems like a good option for individuals. Like if you're still wanting to do military service, but you don't want to go active, that sounds like a great way to be able to do that and still be able to get a retirement out of it eventually.
Yeah. I mean, you get TRICARE, you have to pay for it, but it's still pretty.
Yeah.
It's actually, it's a very good healthcare plan, and it's not expensive. And, you get, when you're on annual training, you get active duty pay. So if I go to annual training for 2 weeks, then I get basically half of what I would get if I was on active duty, because it's half of a month. So yeah, pay and benefits are good. It's a part-time job with kind of full-time benefits, and also you get to serve your country, the pride of wearing a uniform and doing all that. I mean, it's like, it's almost like, man, why didn't I do this before I joined active duty? But no, I'm grateful for my experience because there's just something about doing it every day as a job. It's kind of like when you have kids, if you work at a daycare center, it's like, yeah, you have experience with kids, but you get to go home to your house every day and you don't have to deal with the kids. When you have kids, you got those kids 24/7. I think active duty is kind of the same thing. It's like, you can be in the military on the weekends, and that's cool. But the active duty thing is like, you're in the military, and there's no getting out of the military. And I just think I'm not saying that being in the Guard doesn't count or is not cool, because it is. I'm just saying that I'm grateful that I got that active time, because it's I don't know. There's definitely a difference in, I don't know, I guess the mindset, it's like you're
Mhm.
committing your whole life
Yeah.
to that, you're committing
Right.
all this time to that. And then you have that to take with you when you go into other things. It's like, I'm in a unit with people that, they've been in for 3 or 4 years, and that's the equivalent of, I don't know, do the math, but it's significantly less than, it's like they've been in for like 6 months basically. And so I can take that
Yeah.
active experience and share that with people and share the lessons and all the wisdom and experience. And it's just, the reserves and the guard is cool, but active duty was, I think, slightly cooler.
Gives you a different perspective, right? Gives you a different perspective to everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now you were started National Guard in Georgia. Now you're in Oklahoma. You're still doing there because there's a guard band here in Oklahoma as well. So you're still doing the same thing here in Oklahoma, correct?
Well, actually, I'm still in the Georgia Guard band.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes, I actually drive out
So
to
how does that work? Just
for my drill weekends.
no kidding. Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean it's cool
Hmm.
because Atlanta's my hometown, so I've got friends there. I like going to see my friends. I like to travel. Being a former over-the-road trucker, I kind of have this, wanderlust,
Mhm.
and it's nice to get that satisfied once in a while. And administratively, I came and did a weekend with the guard band here, and I guess they just they said they didn't have room for me or something. I don't exactly know the ins and outs of it, but they didn't have room for an E5 horn player at that time. So
Right.
it just worked out, that I stayed in the guard band or in the Georgia band. And that's pretty cool because, like I said, there's a lot of pluses to it, and you get to go back to Atlanta. But yeah, I mean, the Oklahoma band is actually very good. There's a lot of really talented players,
Yeah.
mature players, and the Georgia band is too. Georgia band has like 3 PhD holders, like 3/4 of them are band directors, and I'm like the only one.
I just did it. I just did an interview with Isria Butler. Do you know him?
Ooh, where's he from?
Well, he's the director of bands at the University of Nevada in Las Vegas. But he trombone player, plays for the Count Basie Orchestra. Dude is fantastic. He does all kinds of crazy stuff, but just came out with his own album recently. But I just did an interview with him, and I thought he said he was in the Georgia area for the guard, but I'm not, and maybe it was reserves. I don't know. I have to go back and look at it, but yeah, Israel Butler is his name, trombone player. He
No, I
was a
don't.
former well, he did, but this was back in the 90s. I think he got out in like 95, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But yeah, he's fantastic trombone player.
No, I've never heard of
I'll
him.
shoot you the link.
Okay, yeah, that'd be cool. Love to check him out. I love seeing Marines, just all kinds of crazy stuff. Who was it that was it Sammy Nestico wasn't a Marine, was he? No, he came to the band hall.
Yeah, yeah. Sammy Nestico was. He was with the President's Own. He was their arranger for a long time.
Oh
He
yeah.
just recently, within the last 3 or 4 years, passed away, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I remember hearing
But yeah, he was a guest of honor for West Coast Marine Musician Birthday Ball when I was out there.
I think I was there for that one because um he had been coming to the band hall at Pendleton, and he did like some guest conducting with us, and I think he might have
Yeah,
arranged a piece for us at that time. I'm not sure, but we got to meet him.
that
It was cool.
that I'm not sure yet. Yeah, he's a very nice guy, man. Very
Yeah,
nice. Yeah. There's a lot of Marine musicians that went into the Guard or the Reserve bands or something like that. There's a
yeah,
bunch of them.
yeah. I've been in I've been in the California band, I've been in the Georgia band, and I've I've met people in the Oklahoma band. I think there was one Marine in the Oklahoma band, but there are several in the, well, not several. There's a few. How many are there? There was one Marine. He was in supply, but he ended up joining the band in the Guard, so he wasn't a Marine bandsman. But there are actually 3 Marines in the Georgia band, and then there was a handful of them in the California band too.
Wow, that's really cool. I'm digging it.
We're representing the National Guard, not wanting to put our instruments down or the uniform down. We're just trying to keep the tradition alive. We may not get to wear Eagle Globe and Anchor, but we're serving with pride.
That's right. That's right. I like it. Well, hey man, thinking back over your whole time in, right, your experiences that you've had and everything, what advice or what words of wisdom would you have for folks as we start to wrap this up?
What advice or words of wisdom would I have for what, young people wanting to join, or the general?
Well, okay,
population?
we can do both. We can do young people that's wanting to join, and you can do individuals that have been in for a while or whatever. Just words of wisdom that you would have for them.
So
or veterans. We can say veterans as well.
Okay, young people that want to join. Like I said, I think I missed the boat on a lot of things. Because just because I didn't have my mind right, and like I was talking about with you, you were trying to drive your career forward. Every couple of years, you're like, "What's my next assignment?" You were being proactive about it. And if I had it to do over again, I would be a lot more like that. I would be like, okay, what are the experiences that I could have? If I'm going to re-enlist, can I get an incentive? Can I get jump school? Can I get the advanced school, like you said? There's so much that the military in general, but the Marine Corps, so much that whatever service you join can give you so many opportunities to go so many places and do so many things. And if you're looking for the greatest possible return on investment for the time that you're going to spend in there, you're writing your country a blank check, and they're not asking you to do that for free. They're going to say, here's some training and some benefits and some experiences and pay and benefits. And I would say, take the opportunities that are before you and milk them until you can't milk them anymore. Like there's a school you can go to, there's a unit you can go to, there's a special assignment, there's any number of trainings or all kinds of things that you can take advantage of, and it just does nothing but make you a better person, make you a better service member, make you a better family member, father, husband, mother, wife, whatever. I wish that I had taken advantage of that a lot more when I was in, but a lot of the time I was thinking about what time I was going to get off work so that I could go, go out of town and buy some tacos in Southern California, man, because that food was good out there. For people that have been in for a while, I don't know. Let's say, I guess I would say, if you're on active duty, really, really seriously consider getting out. If you're going to get out, why and what do you think is going to happen? I'm not saying, never anybody get out ever, because that was the wrong choice for me. I'm just saying, looking back on it, I thought that life was going to be better in certain ways, and it was better in certain ways. I had nobody telling me, stand here and wait for 45 minutes while we decide what the plan of the day is for tomorrow. We haven't signed the paper yet. It's like, there's some bullshit that goes along with that, but then there's all kinds of bullshit and crazy stuff in civilian life. And I would just say, make sure that you have a plan, make sure you have your ducks lined up, make sure you're not taking a risk on something that you don't really know very well. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to go to this computer school and then I'm going to go make $200,000 a year writing code. Well, have you done that before? Do you have experience doing that on the side? Have you made money doing that? So if you're going to get out, if you've been in, I did 2 enlistments. I did 7 years. And I feel like if I were to talk to somebody that's been in for 7, 12, 15 years, whatever, and they're thinking, oh, I just want to get out. Just really do more of like an in-depth study about what you think you're going to get out of it, and how it's the benefits versus the costs of doing so. And like I said, I missed, even without the pay and benefits and the training and all that, I just missed being a Marine bandsman so much. I missed birthday ball season. I missed doing changes of command. I missed marching parades. I missed doing all that. And life sucked. Just like life in the infantry could suck. But there's so many amazing things that go along with it too. And so, it's just, if you're on the fence about it, I would just ask you to think long and hard about it, because you may not really be getting, I made up a lot of assumptions, like my life's going to be better in this way, and I'm going to do that. And I don't think that ended up happening, because I don't think I really thought about it as much as I should have. So just, look before you leap, make sure you have a plan, and really think twice about it, because, if you think you're going to miss it, if you're in the Marine Corps or in the military and you're thinking, man, when I get out, I'm going to miss this. Just imagine when it's 4 or 5 years later, and you really, really miss it. And you might want to get back in, and that can happen, but it's, then you're 4 or 5 years removed. All that time you could have spent doing what you wanted to do. I've seen people that got out and came back in like 10 years later. But
That's
they came
tough.
back.
I mean, that puts you
because they missed it.
way behind your peers. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good, man. I appreciate it. Hey, man, it's been great catching up with you, hearing some of the stories and stuff from your perspective. And, it's just great to hear all the stuff. You've done some great things. I appreciate you for continuing to serve in the National Guard capacity. Is fantastic. When you finally retire from that, you got to let me know so we can have a big celebration for you.
Awesome. Yeah, I never had a wet down when I was in the Marines, so I need to have something like that for my retirement.
That sounds good. Don't tempt me with a good time, man. Hey, thanks for coming on. I truly appreciate you, man. Like that. Don't forget that the VA does have some great resources out there. You can always dial 988, press option 1. You can always text 838-255, or you can go to veteranscrisisline.net, click on that chat icon. Any of those options are going to put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. But remember, one veteran life loss is one too many. I care about you. Cameron cares about you. The whole veteran community cares about you. So please reach out for help. With that, Cameron, thanks again one last time for coming on. To all the listeners out there, stay motivated, change.